Hi guys, Roxana from the blog, acquaintlife.com, and today I have for you 3 meal ideas made from just using pantry staples. Hello and welcome back to Acquaint Life. So today's video we're going to be talking about meal ideas that just so happen to be vegetarian, but also using items straight from the pantry. The reason I wanted to make this video is so that we could do sort of a follow-up to my pantry video on how to stock a from scratch kitchen, and if you didn't catch that video, I'll leave a link for it above. That video was pretty popular. I got a lot of feedback, and if you did catch it, you know that I use things like cream and butter and milk and things like that, and eggs. Those are also staples. So we're not just talking about pantry staples as far as the dry goods. We are also using those and incorporating those into meals, of course, but I just want to kind of give you a heads up. So if you're like, why is she using milk or cream? It's because I do consider those staples. On today's menu, we have tomato basil soup with chive biscuits. Next up we have crock pot macaroni and cheese, and it's as easy as that sounds to just put everything into a crock pot and you have a meal, and you could serve that with a side salad or some sort of green bean or vegetable. And lastly I have a taco salad. This one is super versatile. Of course you could use any vegetables that you have. Today I'm using what I have on hand, and I'll give you some suggestions when I show you the video. Alright, so let's get into some of these recipes and some of these meal ideas. Let's start with our tomato basil soup. I am going to heat up some butter, and I put a little bit of flour in there with it to make a roux. Then I'm going to add a 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes. You could use crushed or diced for this. I will write out everything in the description below for you as well. Then I'm going to add a tablespoon of dried basil because we're using pantry items. If you have fresh, of course, use that. And then for a 28-ounce can, I do a teaspoon of salt as well. This recipe serves about 3 to 4 people and certainly can be doubled. I'm going to use my hand blender here. You can also use a food processor and do this in batches, or a blender as well. Once I have that nice and smooth, I'm going to add a half a cup of heavy cream to this. Again, if you're doubling it, you can go ahead and add 1 full cup of heavy cream. I'm going to let the soup simmer for just a few minutes, give it another taste, add any more salt that I need, and basically it's ready. Okay, now for our chive biscuits. If you don't have dried or fresh chives on hand, just go ahead and leave them out. It'll just make a nice butter biscuit for you. We have 2 cups of flour here. It's all-purpose that I'm using. And then I'm going to put a tablespoon of baking powder. This is a recipe straight from the blog, so I'm also going to link it below for you to check out as well. Next up is going to be 8 tablespoons of cold butter. Now, if you're using a stick of butter, I like to chop it up into small squares as you see. And finally, 3/4 cup of cold milk. I also put a 1/4 cup of chives. Again, if you don't have them, don't worry about them. I have preheated the oven to 425 degrees, and I've rolled out the dough to about a 1/2 inch thick. I cut 8 biscuits from this using a mason jar. Of course, if you have a biscuit cutter, use that. And I'm going to bake these in a cast iron pan, but you can also use a sheet pan as well, or any sort of baking dish. Now that our biscuits are all cut, I'm going to brush the top of them with some milk. You can even use melted butter. And I'm going to bake these for 12 to 15 minutes. Next up we have crock pot macaroni and cheese. I'm going to start by spraying my crock pot with a bit of non-stick cooking spray there. Then I'm going to add a 16-ounce package of elbow macaroni. This is about an 8-person serving size amount of macaroni and cheese we're going to be making. So just to give you an idea on how much this actually serves, that should give you 8 pretty good sized servings. We're going to add 4 cups of white cheddar, 3 cups of whole milk. It's important to use whole milk because it makes it creamier. 2 beaten eggs, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard to that. I'm going to get it into the crock pot, give it a good stir, add a teaspoon of salt, and finally a half a stick of butter. I'm going to put the lid on and cook this on low for about an hour. Be sure to check yours in about 45 minutes because everybody's crock pot runs a little bit differently. Mine cooks it perfectly in about 1 hour. This is also another recipe straight from the blog, so I'll go ahead and make sure to link that below as well. And this is how it looks. It's nice and creamy and ready to be plated. It can be served with any vegetable you have on hand, side salad or green beans, and it's ready to go. And finally, I have a taco salad. Now there's no recipe for this, it's just basically a meal idea. And this might seem like a weird one to be on a pantry meal idea video, but let me explain. Now I usually make this when I need a quick meal idea or I'm running low on groceries. So I take whatever vegetables I have in the fridge. Sometimes it's an onion, sometimes it's a bell pepper, sometimes it's a mushroom. I've used zucchini for this. I've used summer squash for this. So lots of different vegetables will work for this. And then on the side, I take a can of beans. Any kind of beans will work. Today I'm using black beans, but to spruce them up, I add a tablespoon of cumin and 2 cloves of garlic and just let it simmer away while I let the vegetables cook. Now, I usually plate this up with the chips at the bottom. I'll use any sort of lettuce or fresh spinach that I have. Today I have a mixture. I put that over the chips. Then I put the beans over that, and then the grilled vegetables, if I have them, I'll put on over that. Now if you have avocado, that's even lovelier if you have those sorts of things. I don't today, so I'm just using, like I said, what I have. I have some black olives in the pantry because those are also staples, and I'll put a bit of those on top, some cheese, and I do have some fermented yogurt going on this as well, and some jarred salsa. That's the best part about these taco salad meal ideas is because you could really use anything that you have on hand and they always come out great. Alright guys, so that is the end of today's video. I hope you got some great meal ideas. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. If you like this video, please remember to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That way I know you like the content here. And also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Every single week I post brand new videos with from scratch cooking, natural remedies, and all things home to help elevate the everyday. I'll see you on the next one.